A Flash in the Dark, Chapter 21, Comfort. Barry had to admit Cisco and Caitlin were pretty cool about the whole having dated a supervillain thing. Caitlin had brought several tubs of ice cream to Star Labs, and Cisco, sweet wonderful Cisco, had stayed up most of the night baking cookies. Even Dr. Wells was understanding. The heart wants what it wants. Though science can explain the chemistry behind attraction, it can't really do anything to change that, he'd said before sending the three of them out for the night. Caitlin had invited Iris and Eddie to the bar with them. After a brief and highly edited version of Barry and Len's breakup, Iris agreed to come to cheer up her sister. Eddie brought chocolates and bought the first round of drinks. Barry was really beginning to like him. 3 rounds in, and Barry started to notice her problem. She'd been drinking the hard stuff all night, trying to drink away the happy memories of Len, and more importantly, the dark smirk on his face as he leveled the gun at her face. But 3 stiff drinks and several shots later, and she couldn't feel a thing. She ordered 6 more shots and made her way over to Caitlin and Cisco. She set down the shots and made sure that Iris was busy playing darts with Eddie. "Guys, we have a problem," Barry said, setting down the small tray of shots. Cisco nodded, watching Eddie. "We all do when guys like him exist," Cisco complained, glaring at Eddie. Caitlin sipped her drink. "Yeah, he's hot. Genetically speaking, because I'm a geneticist. Oh God, I sound like Felicity," Caitlin said, taking another drink to silence herself. Barry shook her head. "That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this." She proceeded to down all 6 shots in under a second. "I can't feel anything," she said, gesturing down at herself. Cisco chuckled. "Yeah, that usually happens when you drink too much," he teased. Barry shook her head. "No, the alcohol isn't affecting me," she clarified. Caitlin perked up. "It's your heightened metabolism. I need a sample," she said, snatching her bag. Cisco grinned, seeming over the moon that Barry had managed to find a way to connect science and drinking as he rushed to get more shots. Caitlin was rummaging around in her purse. "You keep a blood collection kit in your purse?" Barry asked. Caitlin shrugged, finally pulling out the small sterile kit. She dragged Barry to the ladies' room and got her first sample. Nearly 20 shots later, and Barry made a frustrated noise. "I can't get drunk? I'm only 25, and my drinking days are over." She lay her head down on the table with a frustrated sigh. Cisco patted her on the back, swaying slightly. "We'll figure something out. In the name of science," he promised. Barry huffed a laugh as Iris came over and hugged her sister from behind. "Don't get too down, Barry. He wasn't worth you. Come on, I'll buy you another drink," Iris offered. Barry huffed a laugh. "I think just a Coke this time, sis. I gotta work tomorrow," Barry said with a sigh. Iris nodded and wandered off to the bar. Barry sighed deeply and downed her last shot. Eddie patted her on the back. "Seriously, Barry, don't beat yourself up too bad over a guy. If he couldn't see how amazing you are, he definitely wasn't worth it," Eddie assured. Barry smiled at him and he wandered off to join Iris. Cisco scowled at his back, still wobbling a bit. "Seriously, how is he so perfect? It kind of makes me sick," Cisco said, looking like he was regretting drinking at all tonight. Barry laughed. Then Eddie's phone rang. Iris handed Barry her Coke, grinning wide, and slung an arm around her sister as Eddie spoke into the phone. Barry drank half of it in one go. Iris was too tipsy to pay attention. Eddie nodded and hung up the phone, heading back over to the group. "There's been a bombing on 8th and Pass. I gotta go," Eddie said, clicking off the call. Iris sobered almost immediately and hugged him, laying a kiss on his cheek. "Be safe out there, Eddie," she said, squeezing his hand. Eddie nodded and left. Iris stretched and yawned exaggeratedly. "I should get going. I gotta be at Jitters early." "That's a good idea. I have work tomorrow, too." Barry nodded. Iris rushed out of the bar, Barry running back to Star Labs and changing into her costume in seconds before running off to the scene. She spotted a window washer dangling from a platform. "Guys, are you there?" Barry tapped the comm unit built into her costume. There's a window washer and he's gonna fall. Don't try and catch him. You don't have super strength. Cisco's voice came over the comms, the noise of the bar barely audible in the background. Barry thought fast. Is there like a mattress king near here? I could stack them, she suggested. Barry, this isn't a Roadrunner cartoon. Caitlin huffed a slight laugh. The platform shook and the man yelled out for help. Barry glanced from the asphalt in front of her to the spot on the building where the man was dangling. How fast would I have to go to run up the side of a building? Barry asked. Cisco sounded curious. How far up do you need to go? He asked. Barry did a quick calculation. I don't know, 50 meters, give or take, she asked. There was a mumbling and the platform shook again, dislodging one of the man's hands. Cisco! Just run really, really fast, but you need to maintain your velocity on the way back down, or else. Caitlin's voice cut into the audio again. There was a pause. Or what? Barry asked. Splat, Cisco deadpanned, and Barry nodded. It made sense. She jumped in place for a moment, psyching herself up. Then she bolted up the side of the glass building, just as the final rope snapped. She grabbed the window washer mid-fall and raced back down the building, out of the way of the falling platform. She set the man down and stood carefully. The man groaned and turned over. Barry smiled. He was going to be fine. Then she stood and looked up. Iris was running into the alley. Barry vibrated her face so it was nothing but a blur of color. Like she had at Iron Heights when she'd saved Joe from Nimbus. Then she raced off down the alley and back to Star Labs.